Good evening, every pony and every creature. Welcome to tonight at DAG. As always, this is Dratta Arcana at Dratta Talks, and joining me tonight is special guest.
Hey everyone, I'm LittleshyFiM.
And welcome to the show, Little Shy. You were on my show a while back, and we talked a lot about YouTube.
Yeah, I guess that's my area of specialty.
I guess so. You're still at 200K subscribers last I looked.
No, not quite 200K. I think it's 170 something.
You're getting there. You're almost there.
Yeah. I mean, hey, it's more than I ever thought I would be getting. I remember my goal was like 10K.
So speaking of goals, what was your initial goal when you were first starting out? Because building a YouTube channel is not for the faint of heart.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people go into it like with the goal of getting a bunch of subscribers, earning some money, getting all the views. For me, the goal was really just to make silly videos and have fun with it, and that's like the best place you can start. Really, I think that's my best advice to anyone is just make funny videos for the fun of it. And it really took off once I kind of hit the sweet spot for the algorithm of like constructing a series that people will return to and also click on the suggestions. That's really the key to a successful channel, I suppose.
Right. And building a channel can be difficult, but what's kind of the first things that you need to build a channel, regardless of the type of video you're going to make?
Yeah, I guess some basic editing skills, because that's kind of the foundation of any video. And I would also suggest investment in audio equipment, because even if you don't have the best camera, maybe you're still learning how to edit, having good audio is kind of the key.
That's very true, and we've been having some audio issues tonight.
I wasn't trying to reference that, but yeah. So if I'm slow to answer a question or say something, we are having some technical difficulties. So hopefully we can work through that.
Technical difficulties. So besides the technical difficulties, I know that for me, like, you don't have to start out like I did with XA20 and XA10 Canon camcorders that are used by like all the wedding videographers. You don't need necessarily professional equipment. You can get by with things like GoPros and smaller cameras. Heck, even your like regular family, what is it, the Fuji camera.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't even need a camera to start off with. A lot of people start with like edits. Like that's where I started off, doing mashup edits, and of course like review style videos or commentary videos, that sort of thing. You just mostly use your voice. So that's kind of why I mentioned the audio being a big thing. But yeah, like you almost don't even need a camera to get started on YouTube these days, because editing software has come such a long way.
Yeah. So there are a lot of editing softwares out there, and I know the big one that a lot of people recommend is Adobe.
Oh yes, that's one of the big standards, I suppose, the Adobe Suite, because they have like After Effects for compositing and Premiere for editing, and then they also have Photoshop everyone knows about, and a bunch of other little stuff. But yeah, I would actually suggest starting off HitFilm, because they have a free version, and then also the paid versions. All right, I used it for a few years, but I myself have indeed switched to the Adobe Suite.
So I don't know how many people out there know this. I used to work for Best Buy in computer sales, so my job was to sell computers and programs and stuff. But I don't know how many people know this, but there's actually so if you want to get Adobe the Creative Suite, it is a $600 like subscription every year.
Well, yeah, and it used to be you pay about that much and you it's yours, but yeah, now it is a subscription. I think I pay almost 60 a month for the whole thing, which is crazy, but since I make videos with it, it does kind of pay for itself in that sense. But for absolute beginners, either look into subscribing to individual software like just Premiere, or look into the free options like the free version of HitFilm, or I think there's some open source stuff out there too, but I'm not really familiar with it.
Well, Adobe actually has a $100 version that you pay once called Adobe Elements.
Oh, they do. So, yeah, see, that's something to look into. I don't know anything about that.
So I use Adobe Elements. I used to have the Creative Suite, but I switched over to Adobe Elements because I just didn't want to, when I stopped doing my professional stuff, there was no need to have the full Creative Suite. But,
yeah,
and that's just coming from, kind of a more professional background. But, for pony videos. You know, it comes down to
the opposite of professional backgrounds.
Yes, the opposite, kind of a downgrade.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it like that, but
No.
so there's a lot of different things you can do with pony videos. And, you know, what's the first thing that you need to know about starting a Brony YouTube channel? Like, if you really want to start that YouTube channel, but you want to make it so pony related, what are kind of your avenues available? Do you do research into what's already been made, or do you decide, like, you know, just doing what other people have done, like, you know, music videos or tributes, or what would you do?
Yeah, there's certainly nothing wrong with looking to other people for inspiration. Obviously, in my case, I did make some early original videos that were just kind of silly and for fun. And of course, if anyone's familiar with my channel, it's the Cinemersons that really took off and got pretty popular and got me a bunch of subs. And obviously, that's just a ripoff of Cinema Sins. So you could look into ponifying something like I did. Also, I think it's good to keep in mind that like now isn't a good time to do pony videos if you're just hoping to take off and get a bunch of attention and views and all that, because the fan is becoming more tighter knit and smaller as, you know, the show's over now. But there's still a lot of people creating a lot of amazing content, even if it's not this super big trend that gets you millions of views. But yeah, it's still very much worth looking into and drawing inspiration from others, but also bringing to the table what you can offer and your individual skills and interests.
Yeah. So, and that's a really interesting thing, is bringing in the skills that you as an individual possess. And Little Shy, you're right. The show's over. Don't make me cry. You're gonna
Yeah,
make me
sorry for the
cry.
reminder.
That last episode was so and you were recently on the Bronies React for it, and I was like, oh, Little Shy, no.
Well, hey, as of this recording, the final, well, not the final, but the Bronies React for the series finale hasn't come out yet, so there's still more to come.
Oh no, I'm gonna be so heartbroken. And you were at the NYC one, and it was like a mini convention for you.
Yeah, I went to New York City for the NYC Bronies meetup, and their meetups have unfortunately been kind of shrinking. They've had a few people come out every week, but for the big finale, I think it was around 60 people, including myself, showed up. So yeah, that was a lot of fun.
I bet, and I'm sure that they really appreciated you coming out.
Yeah, I was glad I could be there. I kind of like last minute decided to document it as a vlog. So like, you know, for all the people who wish they could have been there, can kind of get a little tiny piece of it that way.
And you lost your hat.
Almost. No, I went back and found my hat.
In New York City, that's actually pretty impressive. I could go on and on about New York City stories, having used to live there for 15 years, but
yeah, that was a new experience for me. I'm not very familiar with this city. I've only been there a couple times in my life, so it was fun to record a short sketch on the street corner of Broadway.
Yeah, so you know, and that's something also that you do, is you vlog as well. Now, I've done some vlogs, but you know, what kind of makes you decide to do different content, even though your Cinemersons videos are your primary? What happens when you want to start doing secondary content? How do you choose what additional content you want to make, especially if you want to make a series out of it?
I like to think my channel's fairly varied. I don't upload a whole lot, but like over the years, I've quite varied content, whether it's like PMVs or sometimes even like commentary style, not reviews, but like where I just talk about stuff. And then of course the Sins videos, and of course the top 10 series, and like, you know, the list goes on. It kind of starts off as an experiment, like you just upload a video for fun, and if people like it and you had fun making it, continue making stuff like that. But then also feeling free to change and make other experiments and new content. And it's just sort of an organic process that, you know, it just sort of has a mind of its own almost. I don't really think about that far ahead, like, oh, I'm going to make a new video and this is going to be some big new series. That certainly wasn't the plan for my biggest series. And like the top 10, I didn't start that. That was just kind of like bestowed upon me. So yeah, I don't really have these huge goals and like a really thought out timeline of things, but I do put a lot of time and thought into individual videos and like the possibility of it being bigger, but not necessarily planning on it. And, you know, I guess kind of hoping for that though.
Yeah, and this fandom is unfortunately, I know that Ciderfest is going on right as the recording of this video,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, I could not be there this year. I really wanted to go, but was not able to. But we do know that the fandom is continuing. But if you do want to start making pony videos, I've always gone through the phrase of just do it. If you want to do it, if you have a passion for it, do it and just see where it goes.
Yeah, a lot of the biggest channels, and I guess you could include myself in there, but a lot of the biggest channels start off very small, like very simple videos. I remember like Saber Spark's old videos, and now he's branched away from Pony, but he's a successful YouTuber in his own right, and that's pretty cool to see. Same with, I think even Jack's Blade. Like a lot of people started off making silly little pony videos, and some of them still make silly little pony videos like myself, and others have grown on to bigger, better things. And either way, it all comes back to the community, which is really cool.
Yeah. And, finding that unique thing that you're good at is sometimes hard with YouTube because it's such a saturated market.
Mm.
So I actually recently found out that I discovered that I actually technically have the only non-professional talk show in the fandom.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure there's like podcasts and such.
Well, yeah, there's podcasts and stuff, but they don't have the same formula that I do.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've kind of dug into that a little bit, and it's just mine's more like, so what I decided to do with my channel, and maybe it's a bad idea, but I decided to have it more panel, like a type of panel where, you talk with the guest and kind of discuss things with the guest on a specific topic. I don't know whether that's a good way to start. I wouldn't recommend starting like that.
Yeah, it sounds like, actually, I would kind of disagree. It sounds like a pretty good format and a pretty good way to start off. I mean, maybe not jump into, like, I don't know. It would kind of have to be a thing you start with your friends almost. I don't know. I don't want to get too meta here. I'm not trying to talk about you specifically, but
Right.
just, yeah, the idea of having a podcast / talk show / open review style format is a good place to start. It helps you get prepared with how to use YouTube and microphones and editing and all that. So yeah, actually, that is a good idea.
Okay. Well, yeah, no, this isn't about me. It's about, starting with YouTube. And, it, for those of you out there that don't know how to create a YouTube account, look it up.
It changes every few weeks, it seems like. Remember, you used to have Google Plus, but that doesn't even exist anymore, does it?
No, it doesn't. Remember when YouTube wasn't even owned by Google?
Oh, barely. I think I very vaguely remember. Well, they were bought out in like the first year or two, so maybe I don't remember that.
I kind of remember that. I think I lost my original account to that.
I do remember his Google video.
Now that takes me back. So
yeah.
So your Cinemersons videos when you started out was definitely for fun, but what kind of, when selecting to do either PMVs or so forth, what are kind of the more important things that you need to consider when making those videos? Because even though,
like the PMVs
or just videos in general, like what are some of the things that you should consider while you're making the video? Like, how do you make a specific edit when it's like you want that clip to be in there, but you don't know if people are going to like it, or if it's, a little choppy maybe on the transition? What's kind of your process on fixing that?
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of experience with PMVs specifically, but for just editing in general, what's definitely still applies to PMVs is certainly want to match the beats, whether it's music or just someone talking, even if it's your own voice. I like to cut on a lot of like in between sentences and on loud consonants and like right now sort of words. Like that's a basic editing format style. It certainly applies to PMVs too, with like the music beat and all that though.
Okay.
I'm sorry, maybe I'm misunderstanding the question. Like you're talking about like scene selection from footage and all that, or something?
Scene selection and that kind of stuff.
Oh, well, then you just got to watch a lot of the show and know where the best stuff is.
True, true. So I notice that, especially for beginners in editing software, when they're first starting out, Adobe or any editing software can seem daunting.
Oh, yes.
And what's kind of your tips for it to seem less daunting?
Yeah, I think so. I start off with HitFilm, which can be daunting to a beginner because it's still pretty well featured, has lots of stuff in it. And for me, I just spent like a month playing around with it, making silly videos, and like I would have an idea in mind of what I wanted to make, and I would try to make it. And if I got stuck up on something, look up specific tutorials and how tos on that one specific thing. Some people might recommend, oh, just start with a beginner's tutorial. Like you could spend hours watching a bunch of YouTube videos and tutorials and not really understanding the platform or the software. So my recommendation is just jump in and try to create something. And as you get confused or stuck up on something, look that up specifically. And so yeah, I spent about a month figuring out HitFilm until I was comfortable actually making videos with it. And of course, somewhat more recently, I say recently, it's like a year or two ago, but then I started using the Adobe suite. And of course, that was daunting. I put off switching to Adobe for so long because I was like, oh, there's no way I can learn how After Effects works. But no, it's actually much simpler than some people might think. Like there's a lot of buttons and things to do, but a lot of it's pretty actually straightforward. It's relatively all on screen, and the few things you have to memorize you can find in those tutorials pretty easily. So yeah, just spend some time with it and have fun. I guess that's the best recommendation I can give.
Okay. Well, and I know that for me personally, I really don't like the editing. It's so annoying for me. I've edited a lot of different stuff, and it's like I can never get a particular scene to work the way I want, or I can't get the transition to be like the perfect transition. How do you do transitions and switches between scenes? How do you what's kind of your process for doing that? Like, what do you
So
use?
speaking to my sins videos in particular, because that's obviously where I'd have the most experience. For transitions, it's mostly hard cuts from a technical perspective, but there's still the almost an art form to like guiding the audience's attention, and it has a name. I forget the name, but if they're looking on the right side of the screen, you want to cut to something that's going to show something on the right side of the screen, that sort of idea. And again, I usually cut on like certain sentences and words. And also there's some pre-production phase in my editing where while I'm writing the script, I'll actually make time codes of the footage I had in mind. And of course, be free to like experiment in the edit itself. But yeah, a lot of the editing I do is actually done in pre-production while I'm sin hunting, I call it. So that applies to my sort of videos specifically, but that would also apply to reviews and similar videos of that nature. And even actually PMVs, you can also kind of have a pre-production editing phase where you have scene selection in mind for specific ideas, and you kind of write down time codes of where to find those scenes. So yeah, I guess that's my suggestion is lots of planning and pre-production.
Okay. Yeah, and pre-production is, I've always heard the term pre-production, 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 nothing but pre-production. And I can say, yeah, I've been on projects before where they did zero pre-production and it was a nightmare to edit.
Yeah, I mean, there's also like it's a double-edged sword because if most of your work is done in pre-production, that's like the creative side. It's like, oh, this is going to be so good, I can't wait to edit this. And then editing it, because you did so much work in the pre-production phase, editing it is just a chore. For my videos, it's very repetitive to edit because all the fun, somewhat creative stuff of coming up with ideas comes in that pre-production phase. So the actual edit becomes pretty tiresome. But so that's the negative side. But that's also kind of what inspires me to sometimes have some fun with it and edit in stuff I wasn't actually planning on editing. And that's usually where my sillier jokes come from, sillier sight gags and all that.
So what do you do when you get, after you've done all your audio recording and your pre-production stuff, and you're in the middle of editing, and then you get like towards the end of your edit and you discover, I just thought of a brilliant joke.
Yeah, so usually once I'm done with the pre-production phase, except for the obvious like visual edits, I'm pretty much done. I don't add anything to the script. On very rare occasion, I'll fix mistakes, but even then, I try not to. I'll edit it out or just add a note on screen, because once the script is locked, like I'm kind of in this mind frame of pre-production and then different phases and all that. Once I'm in a certain phase of the video, I kind of just have to stay there. And maybe that's a limitation, or maybe that's actually a good thing to help you focus, but But yeah, for the most part, I won't go back and add a funny joke if I think of one. It'll it's just stuck that way.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, I know that we're running out of time here. So, what any like big like tips for people who want to start a YouTube channel or have a YouTube channel but they want to do like a new video or a new series?
Yeah, that moment of like creative inspiration. Once you know what it is, once you have it, you'll know it, and that's when you got to sit down, write some notes down, whether it's on a computer or just a pen and paper. So yeah, again, I guess I would emphasize the pre-production phase of keeping all those ideas compiled somewhere. Like I've just had Google Docs of just lists of silly ideas that aren't really constructed. And then once you have that list of silly ideas, you form that into a rough outline of something that's going to be more structured, but still pretty loose. Not you don't want to just write a script right away. You want to have that loose outline. And then after that, you refine that outline and kind of get a pacing going for whatever it is you're working on. Again, whether it's a PMV, a review, or whatever. And then after you have that rough outline where you like it, then you jump into the script phase. And then, of course, even after the script phase, you can still mix things up. So yeah, that's kind of the way I would look at the production of a video. Is it's very structured, but also allows for a lot of creative freedom. And that's what allows to have the most fun with it and also make the best production you can. Again, whether it's a PMV or a review, whatever it is, that's usually the way it would work out.
Yeah, and I think that that's a good very good note to kind of end on is, have fun with YouTube.
Mm.
Don't
Yeah.
don't do it if you're not going to have fun with it or you're not going to enjoy it. Always try to do projects that you're going to love, have fun with, and all that. So, well, thank you, Little Shy.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, and I really appreciate you coming back, and hopefully we don't have any more tech issues in the future.
Yeah, no, it was fun. Thanks for having me again.
Thank you for coming. Anyways, guys, this is Dratta Arcana, and as always, if you're looking to contact me, you can contact me via dratta.arcana@gmail.com, or you can contact me via Dratta Arcana Gaming on Facebook. And as always, I now have a Discord. Link will be in the description, and I will see you guys on the next video. And joining me tonight was special guest
LittleshyFiM.
and we'll see you guys later.
Goodbye.